This is the Cupra Raval, a city EV that looks like it just drove straight out of a futuristic video game. Now here's the wild part. It's not only designed to be affordable, we're talking prices starting around 20-something grand, but it also promises hot hatch performance with over 220 horsepower and nearly 450 kilometers of range on a single charge. Yeah, you heard that right. A compact EV that's actually fun and practical. And this isn't just hype pulled out of thin air. This car comes from Cupra, the same brand that turned Seat's sensible family cars into fire-breathing hot hatches. They've built their entire identity on performance and style, and the Raval is their boldest move yet. So in this video, we're going to break down what makes the Raval such a game changer. From its sharp design and tech-packed interior, to the real numbers on performance, charging, and price. Trust me, by the end of this, you'll know whether this little electric rebel deserves a spot on your wish list. Brand and model context. To really get why the Raval matters, you've got to know a little about the brand behind it. Cupra isn't your typical car company. It started life as the sporty performance arm of Spanish carmaker SEAT, and over time, it built such a strong identity that it broke off to become its own standalone brand. Think of it as SEAT's rebellious younger sibling, sharper, bolder, and always up for a fight with the big names. Cupra has built its reputation on cars like the Leon Hot Hatch and the Formentor SUV, vehicles that blend everyday usability with genuine performance credentials. And the Raval? Well, it's Cupra's first true city EV. The name itself is a nod to El Raval, one of Barcelona's most vibrant and edgy neighborhoods. That's the vibe they're going for. Youthful, urban, a little unconventional. The Raval actually began life as a wild concept called the Urban Rebel back in 2021. It looked like something straight out of a cyberpunk video game, with oversized spoilers and neon accents. And while the production version has been toned down a bit because, well, reality, it still carries that rebellious DNA. More importantly, it's the very first of Volkswagen Group's brand new electric urban car family, which means it's not just about style. It's about opening the door to affordable, exciting electric mobility for the masses. As Cupra's CEO Wayne Griffiths put it, the Raval is about democratizing urban electric mobility. Translation? Making EVs not just accessible, but cool enough that you actually want one parked outside your apartment. And that's exactly what sets this car apart from the sea of sensible, sometimes boring, compact EVs out there. Exterior design and styling. Now let's talk about the first thing that grabs you, the way this thing looks. Because let's be honest, in the EV world, a lot of small cars tend to blend in. But the Raval? It refuses to disappear into the background. From the front, it's sharp and aggressive. You've got these triangular LED headlights that almost squint at you, like the car's daring you to make eye contact. Right in the middle sits Cupra's signature badge, outlined with those copper accents the brand is famous for. The bumper is carved up with deep angular vents, not just for show, but to help airflow at speed, though they also give the car a stance that says, "I'm more than just a city runabout." Slide your eyes to the side and the silhouette really comes alive. At about 4.2 meters long, it's compact, but it doesn't look stubby. The roofline arcs downward into a sleek wedge-like profile, while a sharp crease runs the length of the body, catching light like a sculpted muscle. The wheels are big for a car this size, filling out the arches with intricate Cupra designs that scream motorsport DNA. And if you notice the door handles, they're flush with the body, only popping out when needed, keeping those lines clean and futuristic. Now swing around to the back and you get one of my favorite details, a full-width LED light bar that stretches across the tailgate, connecting flared rear hips that make the Raval look planted and ready to pounce. There's even a subtle spoiler lip that hints at performance without being over the top. Every angle of this car seems to whisper urban hot hatch more than sensible EV. Sure, compared to the concept car, Cupra had to tone it down a bit. The crazy wings and wild frameless windows didn't make the cut. But the attitude? That survived intact. This is still a car that looks like it belongs parked under neon lights in a Barcelona side street, or blasting down a city boulevard at night. It's edgy, it's modern, and it's got a personality most small EVs can only dream of. Interior and cabin layout. Step inside the Raval and you can tell straight away. This isn't your average budget EV interior. Cupra has a very clear philosophy. Even if the car is compact, the experience shouldn't feel cheap. And they've nailed that balance here. Slide into the driver's seat, and the first thing you notice is how sporty it feels. The seats are snug, with high bolsters that hug you like they're ready for some spirited driving, yet trimmed in recycled fabrics that remind you Cupra hasn't forgotten about sustainability. Copper stitching runs across the upholstery, tying the cabin back to Cupra's signature color scheme. It's a small detail, but it makes the whole place feel premium. In front of you, there's a chunky, flat-bottomed steering wheel with thumb grips and mounted controls that fall perfectly to hand. Behind it, a fully digital instrument cluster that you can customize to show speed, maps, or even charging info. Then your eyes naturally drift to the centerpiece, a massive 12.9-inch touchscreen floating in the middle of the dash. And don't worry, Cupra knows not everyone loves touch-everything controls, so they've given you a slim row of physical buttons just below for climate and quick settings. It's a thoughtful blend of tech and usability. The dashboard itself is clean and driver-focused. The center console has this floating design that frees up space underneath, which not only makes it feel airy, but also gives you extra storage spots. Around the vents and speakers, you'll spot more copper highlights, subtle but consistent, reminding you this is Cupra, not just another VW Group product in disguise. As for space, yes, this is a city hatchback, but it doesn't feel cramped. The packaging is clever. Thanks to the flat EV floor and optional panoramic glass roof, the rear seats feel more usable than you'd expect. Adults can actually sit back there without knees digging into the front seats. And the trunk? Let's just say it's enough for your weekly groceries or a couple of weekend bags, which is really all you need in an urban EV. Overall, the cabin mirrors the exterior. Bold, modern, and just sporty enough to remind you that this isn't an appliance. It's a Cupra. And that driver-first design language carries through everything from the seating position to the copper accents. It feels less like a commuter pod and more like a cockpit built for fun, technology and infotainment. Now let's talk tech, because in today's EV world, the screen is often just as important as the steering wheel. And the Raval doesn't disappoint here. Front and center, you've got a huge 12.9-inch touchscreen, the command center of the car. It runs Cupra's latest infotainment system, and the interface is styled with the brand's signature dark themes and copper highlights. It feels slick, fast, and more polished than what you'll find in some rivals. Naturally, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are built in, and wireless, because no one wants to mess with cables in 2025. Behind the wheel, there's a fully digital instrument cluster, customizable so you can decide what's front and center, whether it's your speed, your navigation, or your charging status. And if that's not futuristic enough, Cupra is adding an augmented reality head-up display. That means instead of glancing down, navigation arrows and speed limits are projected directly onto the road in front of you. Imagine driving through a busy city and having turn-by-turn directions floating right where you need them. That's the kind of tech that makes everyday driving smoother. But it doesn't stop there. The Raval is connected, literally. With Car2X communication, it can talk to traffic lights, warning you of changes ahead, or even communicate with other cars about sudden hazards. And for the urban jungle, you've got helpers like a 360-degree camera system and remote parking assist, meaning yes, you can step out and let the Raval park itself in a tight garage spot. Even the charging side gets the digital treatment. The system shows your range in real time, charging speed, and even recommends nearby charging stations on your route. It's practical tech, designed for real life, not just spec sheets. Put simply, the Raval blends fun, futuristic tech with convenience features you'll actually use every day. It's not just a car with a screen. It's a small EV designed to make city driving smarter, safer, and a lot less stressful. Performance and driving dynamics. All right, now let's get to the part that separates Cupra from the pack, how this little EV actually drives. Because Cupra doesn't just want the Raval to be a city commuter. They want it to feel like a hot hatch for the electric era. Under the skin, the Raval sits on the Volkswagen Group's MEB small platform, the same foundation that'll underpin other compact EVs in the family. But here's the twist. Cupra has tuned it differently. While other brands play it safe, Cupra leans into performance. The base version is expected to push out around 170 horsepower, while the top spec could climb to 226 horsepower. Doesn't sound like supercar numbers, right? But here's the kicker. In a car this small and light, that's plenty to make it feel quick off the line. We're talking 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in roughly 6.9 seconds for the higher output. Not bad at all for a city EV. And because it's an EV, torque delivery is instant. Tap the pedal, and you're already weaving through traffic before the guy in the lane next to you even reacts. This isn't just about straight-line speed either. Cupra has stiffened the suspension, lowered the ride height compared to its VW cousins, and sharpened up the steering response. That means tighter handling in the corners, less body roll, and a driving feel that's more hot hatch than EcoPod. Cupra is also expected to offer selectable drive modes, from Eco for conserving juice to Cupra mode, which sharpens throttle response and gives you the maximum punch. Combine that with regenerative braking you can adjust on the fly, and the Raval doesn't just move you from A to B, it lets you play with the experience along the way. And let's not forget, this is a city car first. Its compact dimensions, short wheelbase, and tight turning circle mean parking, U-turns, and darting through urban streets feel effortless. Yet when you hit the highway, it's stable and planted, thanks to that low center of gravity from the battery pack tucked under the floor. So no, this isn't a Tesla plaid killer, but that's not the point. The Raval is about delivering fun, everyday performance in a package you can actually use daily. It's cheeky, it's nimble, and it's got that spark of Cupra DNA that makes even the school run feel a little more exciting. Range and charging. Okay, so it's quick, it's fun, but how far can it actually go before you're hunting for a charger? That's the question on everyone's mind with an EV, right? And Cupra knows this. So, the Raval has been designed with city life and weekend getaways in mind. Underneath, you'll get a choice of battery packs. The smaller one, around 38 kilowatt hours, is aimed squarely at urban drivers. Perfect if your daily routine is commuting, grocery runs, and maybe the occasional late-night cruise. That version should give you around 250 to 300 kilometers of real-world range. But if you want to stretch things further, Cupra will also offer a bigger pack, around 55 kilowatt hours, pushing the Raval to about 400 kilometers WLTP. And realistically, that's more than enough for 90% of drivers, especially when most charging happens at home overnight. Now here's where things get interesting. Charging speeds. On a regular AC wall box, you're looking at a full charge overnight. Nothing surprising there. But plug it into a fast DC charger, and the Raval supports up to 120 kilowatts. Translation? You can go from 10 to 80% in just under 30 minutes. That's basically a coffee stop while you're on the highway, not an all-day wait. Cupra also makes charging smarter. The infotainment system isn't just about music and maps. It actively suggests nearby charging stations along your route, complete with availability and pricing. Combine that with preconditioning, which warms or cools the battery before you charge. And you're not just saving time, you're protecting battery health too. And because this is Cupra, they've even thought about the lifestyle side of things. The Raval supports vehicle-to-load functionality, meaning you can plug in a laptop, a camping light, or even charge an e-bike directly from the car. It's not just mobility, it's a power source on wheels. So whether you're zipping around the city or heading out for a weekend escape, the Raval promises range that feels practical, charging that feels painless, and enough flexibility to make EV life way less intimidating than it used to be. Sustainability and materials. Now here's something that sets the Raval apart from just being another small EV, the way it's built. Because Cupra isn't just selling speed and style here, they're selling responsibility. And in 2025, that matters just as much as horsepower or range. Step back inside the cabin, and you'll notice a theme. Recycled, eco-friendly materials everywhere. The seats? They're trimmed in textiles made from recycled plastics and fibers, some of which are literally fished out of the Mediterranean. The door panels, dash inserts, even the floor mats, they all use sustainable fabrics without feeling cheap or bland. It's Cupra's way of saying, yeah, we're sporty, but we're not careless. And here's where it gets clever. They didn't sacrifice style to go green. Instead, they turned sustainability into a design flex. The contrast copper stitching, the layered dashboard textures, the Alcantara-like finishes, it all feels premium. If no one told you it was recycled, you wouldn't know. That's how far material science has come in car design. Even the manufacturing side is greener. The Raval is produced at Cupra's Martorell plant in Spain, which has been moving towards carbon-neutral operations, using renewable energy and cutting down waste. So it's not just about what's in the car, but also how the car itself comes into the world. For buyers, this isn't just a checkbox. Studies show that over 70% of younger EV shoppers now look at sustainability as a deciding factor. So Cupra is basically giving you performance, looks, and eco-credibility in one package. That's not a compromise. That's a selling point. Bottom line, the Raval doesn't just talk the green talk. It builds it into the very fabric of the car. Literally. And that's going to matter a lot for the kind of people this EV is designed for. Competition and market positioning. All right, so we know what the Raval brings to the table, but how does it stack up when you put it against the competition? Because let's be honest, the compact EV game is heating up fast, and buyers have options. First up, the Volkswagen ID.2all. Same group, same platform, but a very different vibe. The VW is clean, friendly, safe, but some might say a little too polite. The Raval takes that same DNA and injects attitude into it. Sharper looks, sportier handling, and an identity that's less family hatchback and more urban rebel. Then there's the Renault 5 EV, the retro-styled icon making a comeback. It's cool, no doubt, but it leans heavily on nostalgia. The Raval, in contrast, is futuristic. It's not looking backwards. It's carving its own identity forward. And of course, you can't ignore the Peugeot E208 or even the Mini Electric. Both are stylish city EVs with plenty of charm. But here's where Cupra makes its play: performance and personality. While others are content being cute or sensible, the Raval positions itself as the edgy, youthful, hot hatch alternative. The one that doesn't just fit your life, it amplifies it. Price-wise, Cupra knows it has to stay competitive. This isn't a luxury EV. It's aimed squarely at younger buyers, city drivers, and anyone who wants something more exciting than a gray box with a plug. So when you look at the lineup, the Raval stands out as the emotional choice in a segment full of rational ones. And in car buying, emotion usually wins. So yeah, while the others play it safe, the Raval takes risks. And that's exactly what makes it stand out in this crowd. Pricing and value. All right, let's talk money. Because at the end of the day, no matter how cool or futuristic a car looks, it has to make sense in the wallet. So where does the Cupra Raval land? Cupra hasn't dropped the final sticker yet, but industry whispers point to a starting price of around 25,000 to 28,000 euros for the entry version. That's right in line with its VW cousin, the ID.2all, and comfortably below the Renault 5 EV and Peugeot E208. Now, considering what you're getting, the Cupra badge, sharper styling, sportier tuning, that's already a strong value proposition. Step up to the bigger battery and higher output versions, and you're probably looking closer to 30,000 to 35,000 euros. Still, when you think about the tech, the performance, and the design flair, that's a sweet spot. It puts the Raval within reach of younger buyers and first-time EV owners who want excitement without going broke. And here's the kicker: government incentives. In many European markets, the Raval will qualify for EV grants and tax benefits, which can easily shave a few thousand off the purchase price. That suddenly makes this car not just stylish and sporty, but also one of the most affordable ways to get into the EV game without feeling like you're settling for something boring. So in terms of value, the Raval isn't trying to be the cheapest. It's trying to be the smartest buy in its class. A car that balances affordability with personality. And that's something you don't usually get at this price point. Conclusion. So here's the takeaway. The Cupra Raval isn't just another small EV. It's proof that affordable electric cars don't have to be boring. You're getting sharp looks, a driver-focused cabin, real tech that actually makes your life easier, and performance that puts a grin on your face every time you touch the accelerator. It's not perfect. The rear space is decent, but not cavernous. And if you're chasing Tesla-style range, this isn't that car. But that's not what the Raval is trying to be. This is a city hatch with attitude, designed to turn the daily grind into something you actually look forward to. Against rivals like the Renault 5, Peugeot E208, and even VW's own ID.2all, the Raval carves out its lane as the bold, edgy choice. The one you buy not just because it makes sense, but because it makes you feel something. And at a price that keeps it accessible. With Cupra's design flair and performance DNA baked in, the Raval isn't just Cupra's entry-level EV. It's their statement piece. A declaration that the future of affordable EVs can be fun, stylish, and just a little bit rebellious. So the real question is, do you want your first EV to blend in or to stand out? Because the Cupra Raval is definitely here to stand out.